Hi, it is August 15th, 2013, and I am 16 weeks pregnant. Actually, 16 weeks and 2 days. But we'll just call it 16 weeks for simplicity's sake. I just wanted to check in and leave a little video footprint on the world, my experience, to put it out there, because I know that the video blogs of other women have been so very useful to me to confirm that the things that I'm feeling are normal, and symptoms I'm having, I'm not the only one who doesn't have a bump yet. Lots of different things I've been learning from the video blogs of other women who are pregnant or who have been pregnant, and it's fun. It's fun to have a lot of information to draw from. So I'm 16 weeks and 2 days. I'm well into my second trimester. I didn't talk very much about my first trimester yet, so just briefly recap. It's August, and I missed almost all of the first half of the summer because I was exhausted. It was really exhausting. I never got morning sickness, and I am counting my lucky stars every day that I somehow dodged that bullet. I will get a little bit of tummy queasiness if I get too hungry. But I've just mainly been, the last couple weeks I've been pulling out of that nose dive and being able to get out of bed. But mostly the first few weeks were just, I was in bed and I couldn't move. And I was hanging out with the cats. And that's what I did all of June and almost all of July. It was really, really depressing because, of course, then you have your friends worried about you, and you're worried about you, and everybody, there's a couple people who think that they need to drag you out of the house, when really, honestly, it's not depression, guys. It's just exhaustion, just need rest, just need to be on my back, under a blanket. This needs to happen. It is a little depressing, eventually, not being able to do anything, but it was torture. And there goes the summer of 2013. So because I was so exhausted, it took me a while to get on track looking for a midwife. I have an OBGYN doctor through a clinic nearby, but I know that I don't want to wind up birthing in a hospital. And that's not to say that hospital births are less than, it's just my own neuroticness. I don't trust hospitals. I don't trust that doctors or the medical professionals inside hospital walls will always have my best interest in mind. I think that they're very financially driven and really always trying to cover their asses legally. And for that reason, a lot of women have a lot of things happen to them in hospitals when they birth there, and sometimes it's fine and sometimes it isn't. But I also have kind of romanticized this idea of a home birth in my mind. I really would love to birth in my home with my husband, with a midwife, and then have a baby, and then get into bed and take a shower in my shower and I don't know, drink my tea. It's a very personal experience. And I don't want that to be sterilized and medicalized and hospitalized, and I'm not sick, I'm pregnant. I've just learned and done a lot of research, and I've come to the conclusion that pregnancy and birth isn't an illness, and it's not a terrible thing that happens and you have to go to the hospital, and it's not necessarily an emergency. And I don't want to treat it that way. It may be the only time in my whole entire life that I do this, and I want to do it in the most sacred and reverent manner that I can. Anyway, so we only just started looking for a midwife, and it was really difficult for me to pick up the phone and start calling people. I'm not the kind of person who would feel comfortable interviewing people. I guess I'm just really nice, and I don't know how to say, okay, we'll call you. I had a lot of questions prepared. I had a list of questions, and I had them answered every time. And we may have made a decision, and I'm really happy about it. I don't want to jinx anything. I think it's going to work out, but it's such a relief to finally have somebody picked out, and I just really hope that it works out. I really hope that it sticks. Blah blah blah. My cats have been acting really weird. It started in the first trimester. So the one cat has always been really clingy. He's just a big baby and is always wrapped around my ankles and trying to climb on me and jump in my lap and shed all over me. But my other cat, the female cat, has always been aloof. She's friendly. She's really friendly. If she knows you, she'll hang out with you. If there's a lot of people in the apartment, she'll hide in the bedroom, though. So, but lately, she's been a lot more hungry for attention, and we've had friends over, and she has been hanging out amongst the people, which is just not like her. And she's also been very needy and really talkative, really all over the place sometimes. And that's been really interesting. I don't know what it is, but she is behaving weird. And he, the already very clingy one, it's not a whole lot has changed. Not a whole lot has changed, but he's just really especially snuggly. If anybody else has animals or cats that started acting funny around the time you started to gestate, let me know, because that's something that's really interesting, and I don't even know what that's about. Symptoms, other symptoms besides the exhaustion. One of the early ones was peeing a lot. I guess my kidneys became overproductive or over efficient, really efficient, and I was just up and down all night. I've never had that problem where I was peeing all night long, where I would actually have to physically stop myself from drinking anything like 2 hours before bed, or else I wouldn't get any sleep. That was weird. That was a change. So from like 4 or 5 times a night going pee, that's gotten a little bit better recently. Maybe I've just learned and it's become a habit, or maybe it's kind of eased up on me. I'm not sure. I took a temp job that involved a lot of standing about a month ago, and since then my hips have been really painful. And I don't know if it was a temp job, or I don't know if it's like that ligament loosening thing where your pelvis starts to expand. It could be either, but I'm only 16 weeks, and even a few weeks ago I would have been even less than that. So I can't imagine. But anyway, my hips have a tendency, if I sit for too long, or even first thing in the morning, they're really stiff. And I've never had hip pain or hip problems. I feel like an older person. It's just a strange symptom for me, and it's new to me. Let's see, round ligament pain. I imagine that that's what this is. It was really weird. It happens rarely, not very often, and I'm talking like once every 2 to 3 days I get a real stab, but it's usually when I'm laying down and I try to get up. Yesterday it happened to me when I was laying flat on my back talking to my mom, and I laughed or chuckled, and I got a big sharp stab in my left lower quadrant. And it's like a real stabby jabby, like a Charlie horse, not a Charlie horse, but a cramp. Like if a muscle in your foot cramps, or a muscle in your leg calf cramps or something like that, but it's like really stabby and quick, and then it's over, and then I'm like, ow. It hurts really bad. It feels really painful. But then it's gone. And I don't even think I can do it on purpose. I think it just happens. I've been really dizzy lately. Something to do with my plasma blood production in overdrive, but my red blood cell production having a hard time keeping up, which is normal, really, really normal. But yeah, that's been something that's pretty manageable. I am very aware that it happens, and so if I'm laying down, I sit up, and then I sit there for 5-10 seconds, and then I stand up. But sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget, and I just fly out of bed or up off the couch or something, and then I stand up and have to gather myself because it's really weird. And that's also something I've never dealt with. I've never dealt with dizziness. Like, you know, usually people will, you know, come up from a crouch and stand up and go, woo! I could do that. Like, that could happen to me. But this is weird. You know, sitting to standing, that's just strange. But totally normal, I guess. I used to drink a whole lot of beer. And now the smell of beer is really gross, which is just strange, which is cool. It's awesome because that means I won't drink it and I don't want it, but it's kind of difficult when my husband, he still loves it. Can't blame him because I used to love it, but when he sits next to me with a bottle of beer, I can smell it, and I can smell it from across the room. I feel like I can smell that there is an open beer in the room before I even see it. Like, I just know it. It just smells really strong. And it's not very many other things that kind of trigger this. Like, I really can't think of much else or anything at all that really bothers me, and it's really sad that it has to be beer. So I've been waking up in the morning lately. Like, ever since I got pregnant, I've become a morning person. And that's really weird, because I've been a night owl all my life. My mom says that I was waking her up in the middle of the night through 2 years old. And I was always up when my parents thought I was asleep reading or something. And all of a sudden, I will go to sleep at like 10 or 11, sometimes 12, but then be awake at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's just really bizarre behavior for me. Really bizarre behavior for me. I've also been super emotional. Crying at silly, sentimental things, stories I read. Having really strong emotions about conversations I have or things that happen to other people. Like, if something happens to a friend of mine, I can feel my heart begin to race and my face flush, and I just, get really angry. Or, like, last night, I was just really sad about something that happened, and I was crying, and it was just a total overreaction to what was happening. But that's normal too. Something really weird happened the night before last. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I could not go back to sleep. I woke up to go pee, and I was really thirsty, so I had some water. So I peed, and I had some water, just a couple sips, because I didn't want to be up all night. But I wound up being up all night anyway. I went back to bed and closed my eyes, and when it was 4 o'clock in the morning, I realized that this wasn't going to happen. So I started to read a little bit, and then it was 4:30, and I still wasn't going. I mean, I tried, but I didn't. And then all of a sudden, it was light out, and it was 6 a.m., and then my husband woke up. It was just nuts. That doesn't happen to me. So I think that might be all of my symptoms. Oh, except quitting coffee and quitting smoking at the same time. When I found out I was pregnant, I quit drinking, smoking, and drinking beer and liquor, drinking alcohol, smoking, and drinking coffee all at once. I mean, coffee, I guess I had a cup a day for a little while, but then I stopped that too. Which resulted in me not being able to poop. Which is also pretty new. So, for more than one reason, because remember there was also that really crippling exhaustion, I started drinking black tea. And I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I've never disliked tea before, but I've never been a tea person, not very much. And drinking black tea has enabled me to have a little bit more energy. And I don't drink a lot of it. They recommend, like, 200, is it micrograms that they measure it in? Milligrams, micrograms, milligrams. 200 milligrams a day, and one of these tea bags, the black mango tea from Trader Joe's, which is really tasty, they say black tea has about 70 milligrams in it. So I have about 2 a day, so I even come in under the recommended 200 milligrams. And it's really tasty, and it helps a lot, and it gets things moving. I have had acid reflux for a few years now. I have recurring heartburn problems, and I have been on Prilosec on and off for a few years now. Sometimes I try to control it with diet, and sometimes I can't, and sometimes I don't want to. So I had been on and off Prilosec for a long time. But I went to go see the doctor at the clinic near me, and she said that it is a Class C medication, which means that it is not proven to be safe for the developing fetus. Which doesn't mean it's unsafe. Some people are still taking it and they say that it's just fine. That's fine. But at this point in time, I just kind of say, if I can do without it, and I have proven in the past that I can do without it, I just don't want to sometimes, then I should. And I haven't taken it for a very long time, and I actually have done rather well, steering clear of the things that will trigger it, which are like peanut butter and tomatoes, which is weird. Just peanut butter and tomatoes, and a couple other random things that every once in a while I bump into, like citrus. Citrus will do it. And I've been pretty good with it. What I want to do is start taking the apple cider vinegar again. I have some of that Bragg's raw apple cider vinegar in my kitchen that I used to take a couple tablespoons with some honey and water a day. Tablespoons, teaspoons, like not even. That stuff is really strong. It burns my throat if you put too much in the water. But it's really good for your stomach and digestion and lots of other things. So I'm hoping to do that again pretty soon. I think I need some more. I don't have very much left, and I've had it in the cabinet for a long time, so I don't know. It's vinegar. That stuff keeps, I hope. I'm going to start doing that. So I am using 3 pregnancy trackers because I'm a big weirdo. They have different things that I use, you know, different reasons. Some of them are easier to look at for different purposes than others, and that's just how I do. And what I'm using is, there's 3 of them, and one of them is whattoexpect.com tracker, and then there's the WomanLog pregnancy tracker, and the babycenter.com tracker. And I have an Android phone, and these 3 work relatively well on my Galaxy 3 smartphone. Galaxy S3 for, it don't matter. Anyway, they work okay. I use the whattoexpect.com tracker. That's the one I look at most, because that's the one I will like wake up in the morning and say, oh, I forget how many weeks and days I'm pregnant. Yeah, right. So I open it up and find out, oh, I'm 16 weeks and 2 days pregnant today, and I have this however many weeks and days left to go before my estimated due date. And this is estimated. What I use is my last menstrual period. So that's what I use. You can use your date of conception if you think you know. Then the date of conception, you can use that, or you can use your estimated due date. I think all 3 of these trackers will let you do all 3 of those things, I think. But I use my last menstrual period because I know when I bled last. And so I use the whattoexpect.com for just like the rough information. And they have some pretty cute weekly, this is what your body is doing, and you may notice this, and this is what your baby's developing right now. And they have like, you know, cute little passages to read about each week. They tell me what fruit my baby is this week. They'll tell me, like, for example, This week my baby is a turnip, a 5-inch long turnip, about like that long. I think it's like from like head to butt, and it's about the size of a turnip, which is pretty cool. You know, it's interesting, and you gotta know what size fruit your baby is this week. It's important stuff. Your OBGYN will want to know. That's what I use it for. The WomanLog pregnancy tracker is pretty cool because it is in a calendar format, and I use it to tell when I'm going to be pregnant, like how pregnant I will be on a particular date. So it's like that, got this little calendar square, and it says August right now, and I say, oh, well, I want to know how pregnant I will be on Halloween. How big will I be on Halloween? So I go, boop, 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 October, and I look, and it says, oh, well, I'll be about 26 weeks pregnant on Halloween, about-ish, 27. So, that's what I use it for. It's really helpful to know sometimes. And it's really helpful because a lot of these trackers go by weeks, and sometimes somebody's going to want to know how many months you are. Well, if you're like me, you don't really know if you're closer to 3 or 4 months. And it's really easy if you have a calendar to go, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm almost 4 months. So, I use it to kind of gauge where I am in the timeline of all of time, if that makes any sense. Also, the WomanLog pregnancy tracker is how I keep track of my weight and my belly size, because they have tools where you can keep track of what you weigh on particular days. And I don't have a really set weigh-in date, but it's really helpful because I don't like how the doctor's scale varies from my scale at home. And so if I have all that information in one place using my scale at home, then I know how much I've gained and how weird it's been. But I've only gained 3 pounds in 16 weeks. I think it's because of all the beer that I used to drink. And then I stopped drinking all that beer because there's a lot of calories in beer. So I stopped drinking all that beer, and so I was losing weight in my first trimester, and that's really weird because I didn't get any exercise. I was like flat on my back. So I lost a lot of weight because I wasn't drinking beer, and this is just my theory. Lost a lot of weight because I was drinking beer, because I went from like 185 to 180 doing nothing. And now I'm 188. So I gained about 3 pounds, which is fine. I'm alright with that. I started off overweight, obviously, 185. I'm 5'5", so a little overweight. So as little weight as I can gain in this pregnancy, I'll be happy. I'm not trying to diet. That's stupid. I'm not dieting, but I'm not, indulging in everything. Whatever. So the WomanLog pregnancy tracker is good for tracking your weight and it has it has the different tools to measure yourself. And for all of these, I guess you could go pro and pay for the app, but these are all free. The third one I use is the babycenter.com application. And it's got cute little illustrations and occasionally a video of how your baby is developing. Or this is what an ultrasound is like. But I have a hard time sometimes loading the videos. If you can get them to load, they're pretty cool. They're cute little videos about, and then your baby is developing genitalia. And it's just interesting. There is also a little ticker. If you want to visually see on a ticker where you are in your pregnancy, it's tiny and it's at the bottom of the screen, and it's not very big, but every once in a while it's kind of thrilling to see that I'm almost halfway through. It gives me a little like, woo, almost halfway through. There's a kick tracker, which will be useful later, that I'll probably use. It's just like a timer that goes, and every time you hear a kick, you push a button, and it counts the kicks for you. I'm not so keen on the advice that they give all the time, like, drink diet soda, it's fine. The artificial sweeteners have no problem. You drink the artificial sweeteners. Like, they say, you know, 1 to 2 cans of diet soda. Like, that's just an example. Like, it's not always good advice. But, as with everything, go with your gut. You know, if something's safe, do it. If you feel like there's something wrong with it, don't do it. And I'm going to stay away from artificial sweeteners, because every time I drink artificial sweeteners, my husband gets mad at me. But, and he should. And I guess no pregnancy vlog would be complete without the obligatory belly shot. I'm 16 weeks pregnant. I'm not going to be all that huge. I started at about a belly of 42 inches, and now I'm at 44. It's really not all that noticeable. I still fit into my pants. It's uncomfortable because, I mean, I've got a mass in my abdomen. But I can sort of imagine that it's not all belly chub. Anyway. Alright. So, chubby. Not like this, but, you know, it's not too much different than where I was before. Ooh, I can push it out, but I was able to do that before. I'm getting less able to suck it all the way back in. Yeah, but that's where I'm at. I'm around by here. I need a cattail. I don't know. I might... No, still just chub. Well, only 2 inches bigger, folks. But one day it'll be a big difference. Big difference. Okay, well, I'll see you around next time I decide to take a video. Oh! Duh! The reason I even got up my dander enough to start recording is that today I felt flutters. I felt the thing that people say they feel. I felt the quickening. And the way I described it was, it felt like, I don't know if you ever felt like your heart kind of palpitate a little bit, but every once in a while I get that feeling because my parents, my mom and my sister get panic attacks, and that kind of thing is hereditary. And I never get panic attacks, but I get like quick little palpitations that start them for them. Like, that's what they describe as the beginning of it. And what it felt like was like a palpitation of the heart, but in my abdomen, like in my pelvis. But really, really subtle, just like a really, really subtle and easy to miss, and not scary at all. It was really sweet. So, yeah, 16 weeks, 2 days, today I felt the flutters. So, goodbye.